Good day, everyone, and welcome to our new unit course today, which is CHCCCS040, supporting independence and well-being. Before I start this particular unit, I would like to quickly acknowledge the country, and I'll begin today by acknowledging the First Nation people here, the traditional custodian of the land which we all gather today. And I pay my respect to the elders past and present, and I extend my respect as well to the Aboriginal and Terrestrial Islander here today. About this particular unit, this unit describes the skills and knowledge required to provide individualized service in a way that supports independent as well as the physical and emotional well-being. The expected outcome at the end of this particular unit is recognize and support individual differences, promote independence, support physical well-being, and support social, emotional as well as psychological well-being. This is of course cut across virtually everyone, because if we look so much after ourselves, it will be easier for us to of course look after someone else. There's this saying that if you don't have it, you can't really give it. So if you are starting to work in any facility, of course everybody will be looking at you to see what is it that you are bringing to the table. How exactly are you going to help them? You can always demonstrate that by helping yourself first. So this unit explores the concept of how to support a person's independence and well-being. And there's two critical points to consider for this particular concept. This is interpersonal skill, that is how you communicate and interact with others, how you familiarize yourself with what's going on around you, and the respect of course that you show everyone. Emotional intelligence is your ability to read and control your emotion, ability to understand all those underlying things that are not well stated. And when you use these skills to recognize the unique need of a person and support them in a way that align with their needs and their goal as well as their preference, then we'll say that you have actually supported the person with regards to their independence and well-being. So you may work in different environments when you are working as support worker or care worker. However, everything in any way that you find yourself, the paramount thing is actually to support the independence of the people you are really working with as well as their well-being. So the community center, the service, the employment service, personal home dwelling, residential aged care facility, independent living accommodation, all these places are where we can work at the end of this particular course. Well, when we are working there, of course, there are few things that they expect us to come in with, and there are so many things that they will be teaching us when we get there. Some of the things that they are expecting us to come in with are those things, are those underlying knowledge about being a care worker or being a support worker. However, when you get in there, the organization will be exposing you and they will be discussing more about their policies and procedure and how they expect you to actually work. All the policies and procedure that is being discussed about must always be in line with the legal and ethical requirements of each and every state. For example, now, policies and procedure ensure that organizations apply all legal and ethical considerations. The policies describe the organization's does and why they do it, what the organization does and why they do it. An organization policies are the principle that influence all decisions made in that particular organization. And the procedure are the action or the process that we take in achieving those particular policies. If you are working now as a carer, of course, your organization expects you to always look after your client. Well, exactly how do they want you to look after your client? We can specify how to look after our client by really understanding their needs. So, in the organization policy, one of their major things might be how to identify the client needs. And when you identify these client needs, how do you achieve providing or supporting them to achieve those needs? That is where the procedure comes in. One of them might be you sit down with them, you ask them questions on how they are feeling, how they want to be treated, what are their do's and don'ts. So all those steps that we are taking to actually support people in achieving those needs, those are what we call the procedures. So every organization or all the carers, you should try as much as possible to familiarize yourself with the organization policies and procedure. And when we do this, we can actually refer this as a duty of care. Duty of care can be seen in so many ways, but in the literary meaning, it's a legal obligation that requires worker to act in a person's best interest with ethical origins. That is, supporting your client to achieve their goal. Whatever you are doing is in their interest, but not forgetting that the first person that you have this duty of care to is yourself. It's only when you are safe that you can keep anyone safe. So the first person that you can think about is yourself. Don't forget what I said earlier. You can only give someone the thing that you have. If you don't have it, there's no way you can give it. So you must always prevent the person from experiencing any form of harm that can be bought or that can that can actually make them feel embarrassed or make them feel overwhelmed with emotion or even put them in a physical or mentally damaged. And which of course I believe each and every one of us, we don't want to be in that situation ourselves. So whatever you don't like, whatever you don't want to happen to you, please try as much as possible not to allow it to happen to the people that are in your support or that you are looking after. So that is exactly what duty of care means in a layman's word. So duty of care happens when a person experiences harm during you're working with them. Some of the best practice to promote duty of care includes but not limited to maintaining people's privacy, preventing abuse and neglect, providing safe and high quality services, providing safe and helping people to maintain independence, and treating them with dignity and respect. It also involves giving people control over their decision, listen to people's opinion and feedback, immediately reporting hazard in a workplace, and eliminating or minimizing risk within the scope of your roles and responsibility. If you are thinking about this and if you are doing this at all time, then you can rest assured that you are actually maintaining what is called the duty of care. However, when we are doing all this, we should understand that even at the face of all incidents, our client might still decide that they want to go a different way from the way that we have suggested. That is their right. That is what they call dignity of risk. So dignity of risk is a concept that a person has a right to choose what they want to do, either good or bad. And the person also recognizes that they have the choice to come with that this choice that they are intending to go in, it has some possibility of danger associated with this. That is why they said when you are providing support as a care worker, all employee needs to create a safe environment as practicable, reasonable. They don't say that we won't be in any form of risk, but we need to try as much as possible to limit those risks. So while you are supporting your client when they are deciding to do whatever they believe they want to do, always give them that opportunity and give them necessary information for them to know if they do one thing, this is likely to be the result, and if they do otherwise, this is likely to be the result, and it might affect them this way or that way, so that they have all the information before they actually go ahead and do it. So it is your responsibility to respect the person's dignity of risk. Help them in minimizing the risk involved with their choices, and refer to your organization policies and procedure about any dignity of risk associated issues. While we are doing this, the best way to actually support someone when it comes to dignity of risk is to listen to that person. Explain the risk associated with the activities, as I said earlier. Do your part in mitigating the risk that may affect the person, and plan how you will document the person's participation in such activities, so that even if anything happens in future, you have reference and you have things that you can bring out and can support you or even your organization in making the right decision if that particular client still want to go that lane again. Good. So that leads us to another thing, which is privacy, confidentiality, and disclosure. Privacy ensures every person can keep their information to themselves. It also gives every person the choice of who they can interact with or who they want to actually interact with them. It ensures that every person can set boundaries that match their reference, and their rights must always be recognized at all times. Confidentiality is the responsibility to keep a person's information private and safe from unauthorized access. As a care worker, we are going to have opportunity of seeing a lot of information about our clients. Those information that we have access to, it is our responsibility to keep them to ourselves. We are not expected to go home or even disclose it with someone, even if they are working in that particular organization. If they don't have, or they are not expected to know about it, we don't discuss such. So we should always think about that. And when it comes to privacy and confidentiality, then the law that is guiding it in Australia is what they call the Privacy Act of 1988. This is a national law that protects people's private information, and it contains 13 privacy principles that applies to Australians of all ages. The Act includes special cases where disclosure of private information is acceptable, and these special cases covers health services. If there is no special cases, one of the special cases might be if the authority, that is by law you are expected to disclose information, then you have to disclose such information without your client consent. Otherwise, before you disclose any information, you have to seek the client's consent. Another reason for you to disclose information without your client consent is if your client or anyone is at risk of losing their life, or someone is about to kill themselves. In that situation, you are obliged to discuss the information with the authority. So, this, of course, there will be a lay down rule that your organization has prescribed on how to actually follow this particular situation. Work rule boundaries are fundamental ethics in nature, and they inherit in any service that we are actually doing. So your organization may have more detailed policies and procedures separating personal rights or personal relationship from work is the right thing to do, and there's a lot of benefit associated with this. The benefits include one, they ensure that the service you deliver is only based on defined role. Two, they protect you from many liabilities, e.g., legal consideration. Three, they maintain a professional relationship with the person. And four, do not disclose information about the person to any other. Five, limit the service you provide according to your job description. Do not discuss personal or sensitive information with the person, even with your client. We are not expected to share our personal information with our clients. Giving them your phone number, your house detail is not acceptable. So you should always try as much as possible to think about the confidentiality when you are supporting your clients. Restrictive practice. What do I mean by this? This is a process of intervention, and it is actually limited, and every organization is expected to actually show competency whenever they want to actually do this practice. So restrictive practice try to stop or slow down behavior that may cause harm to persons or other. In Australia, care worker can use authorized restrictive practice, but one only use it as last resort and in the least restrictive format. A care worker should use it to prevent or to protect a person who are likely to harm themselves or harm others in accordance to the organization policies and procedure. The use of restrictive practice must be adhered to following applicable laws and standards that is associated with your job or associated with your state and territory. Some of the laws that support restrictive practice and how we make use of them include the healthcare quality standard, the Charter of Healthcare Rights, National Disability Services, National Standard for Disability Services, the applicable regulatory for each state and territory. There's a lot when it comes to restrictive practice. So workers must have a behavior support plan in place if they actually want to support someone that has restrictive practice. And when you are actually supporting them, or when you are providing this type of services, there must be an assessment that has been carried out that shows that verily the person exhibits some kind of behavior of concern, and without this restrictive practice, there is opportunity of them harming themselves or others. And that is the only way, or that is the only time that restrictive practice is actually allowed. And such restrictive practice must be in your client's plan. So anytime they exhibit any form of behavior, you know how to actually support them in calming them down, in avoiding any form of injury, rather to themselves or others. So there must always be an ongoing document in place that will help inform other staff of continued care for that particular client. Alternative behavior support strategies that we can use other than using restrictive practices: think about individualized plan, the environmental changes, work based on the strength-based approach of your client, or early assessment and intervention putting in place so that things doesn't go out of hand. This is where we are going to stop today. Thank you all very much for your time, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.